Hi everyone, how are you doing today? Hope all is going well. I'm excited to be here yet again on another episode of Dr. Sumner's Summit to Wellness. I'm super excited to have you guys all here. And today we're going to talk about a topic that I think would be pretty beneficial. In speaking with a number of my patients and clients, there is just so much gosh darn confusion about what is a healthy diet for you. What is the right kind of diet that's going to help you get rid of whatever chronic condition you're dealing with, that's going to help you get the fatigue out of the way, boost your energy, what's going to help with your mood, what's going to help lose some of that weight that you've been struggling with. There's just so many questions out there and so much confusion, and I'm hoping that we can help debunk some of the myths in our conversation today. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Felicia Sumner. I'm a board certified family medicine physician and wellness strategist, and I am dedicated to helping you and your communities become well. That's whole, energized, and loving life. And I do this through telemedicine consultations, wellness strategy consultations online, and soon to be in person at our new direct primary care office. So super excited to have you guys on. Hi, Dr. Kim. Thanks so much for joining. Hi, Joanna. For those of you who know of a friend or family member who's been struggling with what the heck kind of diet they need to be on, then please tag them in today so we can hopefully debunk some of the crazy information that's circulating. Thanks so much to all of you for joining. So just a brief reminder / disclaimer that as much as I enjoy educating you all, my communities, my patients, those who get a chance to watch and tag along about topics related to your health and wellness, this is not medical advice. This is for informational purposes only. So definitely chat with your doctor before you make any specific changes to your personal situation. All right. Hi, Dr. Sand. Thanks for joining. So hopefully we'll have a great discussion. If you have questions along the way, then please chime them in and I will try my best to answer. We'll try to make this as interactive as possible. Hi, Dr. Kim. I know. So I've got a lot of my girlfriends at an awesome conference, the Momentum in Medicine conference this weekend. Best of luck to all of you who are enjoying the time, and party for me while you're there. All right, so basically today we're gonna really be chatting about kind of the really popular / fad diets that are out there, and if they're really truly helpful and beneficial for the reasons that a lot of people are on them. The big ones that I've been seeing out there very much in the past year or two have been becoming vegan or vegetarian, and this big thing that's blown up called the keto diet. Have you guys heard of either of these diets? Are they something that you're on or that you've been considering going on? And if not the keto or the vegan or vegetarian diet, what diets have you been considering so we can chat about those, okay? So first let's start with this, the vegan or vegetarian diet. So, and for those of you who are joining in, definitely let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm here in the Philadelphia area. And if you're watching later and you're not live, let me know still, #replay, and let me know that you're chiming in and tuning. We appreciate having you. Hi, Edith. Thanks so much for joining. So let's first start with this vegan diet. Are any of you guys considering a vegan diet? Are you on a vegan diet or a vegetarian diet? If you are, let me know. Let us know why. Why have you thought about, making that change with regards to your health and nutrition and what you're eating? So for those of you who are on a vegan diet, veganism basically, it's a way to exclude all forms of animal exploitation and cruelty related to animals, whether that's with food, with your clothing, or for any other purpose, okay? So for those reasons, anyone who's dealing with a vegan diet or adhering to a vegan diet, they do not eat eat or wear or anything, any kind of animal products that includes meat, eggs, dairy, things like that. So people choose a vegan diet for a number of reasons. Most of the time it's tied to ethics or environmental concerns. And most of the people that I know who are on vegan diets are like super diehard vegans, and that's okay. And again, that is usually because there's a very strong ethical tie to it for most of the people who are vegan, versus vegetarians maybe a little bit more lax because they may possibly wear some animal products. Some vegetarians will eat dairy, things like that, but basically still their diet is majorly plant-based. They do not eat any meat. Plant-based meaning, you know, veggies, fruit, carbs, things like that, okay? Hi, Nina. Hi, Denise. Thanks so much for joining. So today we're just chatting about the common fad diets out there that people are enjoying or attempting to enjoy in efforts to lose weight, gain energy, get rid of some of their medicines, work on their whatever chronic illnesses or conditions they're dealing with. And let me know, have you guys been considering any particular diet? Are you on any special diet, and why? Because I'd love to hear it. And the reason that we're chatting about this in particular is because a lot of my patients, clients, my husband's clients, they all come in with a lot of questions, and to be frank, a lot of confusing information, because there is a lot of confusing information out there. So, I mean, I could probably talk about it for days, but we're gonna at least spend a good amount of minutes to hopefully debunk some of the myths and give you a little bit more information along the way. So with regards to the vegan and vegetarian diet, there are potential pitfalls. So it sounds all well and good, right? If you're eating mainly plants, if you're eating mainly veggies and fruit or carbs, then in that case, like, it sounds pretty darn healthy, right? You're not eating meat, and meat has been, you know, the major issue according to what we see and hear, right, with regards to high cholesterol and heart disease and all that crazy stuff, and eggs, right? We hear about eggs being so bad for us. So the assumption is that pretty much anyone who's vegetarian or vegan, they're set. They should like live 100 years. The unfortunate thing is that's not always the case, and that is because there are potential pitfalls that come along with that. Denise says, I really want to know more about the right way to start a keto diet. Okay, all right, Denise, we'll try to tackle that for you today. So with the vegan diet, potential pitfalls. Major one is your vitamin B12 level. For a lot of folks who are vegetarian or vegan, that is a very common deficiency that you would have to deal with, because most of your B12 comes from animal-based products. And so most vegans or vegetarians, you definitely should have your B12 level checked, and in the majority of cases should be taking a B12 supplement. And to also keep in mind that most B12, it's not absorbed through your GI tract, which means that if you take a B12 pill, you might as well just take nothing. You actually have to take it through what's called a sublingual tablet or a drop, so that it goes in directly to your bloodstream otherwise. Or some people even get B12 injections on a regular basis. So definitely B12 is a major issue. Other things that could be issues for those who are vegan or vegetarian is your iron. That also could be a major deficiency, because again, a lot of iron can come from meat-related products. But if you eat enough green leafy veggies, most of the time you should be okay with having an adequate iron store, but definitely get it checked if you are adhering to that kind of diet. Omega-3s are another potential deficiency for those who are vegan or vegetarian, because a lot of it comes from fatty fish and things like that. Again, you can definitely have a great amount of omega-3s in a vegan or vegetarian diet, but you do have to be mindful of that potential deficiency. And the biggest thing that I've personally seen as a physician with my patients who have decided to commit to vegetarianism or veganism is that you can end up eating too many refined carbs. So it's great if you're vegan or vegetarian in most cases and you're eating a diet that's pretty high in plants, However, I've seen a lot of vegans or vegetarians eat potato chips for a good majority of their day, or drink tons of sodas and not enough water. And those things are not so healthy. So if your plate is truly mainly plant-based and whole foods, then in most cases you get what you need. But if you're replacing a lot of your calories with carbs, especially refined or processed carbs, then you are not getting the benefits that come along with being a vegan or a vegetarian. So that's definitely something we're thinking about. Personally, my family and I, we eat meat, we enjoy meat, and I'll share with you some of the reasons why, but I don't knock anyone who's vegan or vegetarian at all. Personally, I've actually never seen a vegan or a vegetarian have a heart attack, so there must be something legit about it, right? But it's not for everyone. So I think that there's no one size fits all when it comes to a diet. Everyone needs to find the right kind of diet that works for them, their body, their genetics, their environment. There's a lot of factors that come along with that. So we'll keep chatting about that for sure. Ruth said, I've been a vegan throughout the years, and this way of eating helped me to get pregnant, and it helped with my IBS. You have to know your body. I take a B12 complex. Exactly, Ruth. So it's clearly has made amazing strides for you, and that's great, great news. So for some people, it really can make a huge difference, and that's awesome news. So it really depends on what your body needs, and hopefully you can continue to work with a provider who will help you figure that out for sure. So any other questions or comments, concerns about vegan or vegetarianism? A lot of the times it's pretty straightforward. Just stay away from meat, stay away from dairy, eggs, and you're pretty much good to go. The tough part, like I said, is you gotta stay away from the refined and processed carbs. That ends up being the major pitfall, and definitely keep abreast of potential deficiencies. B12 is a major one, sometimes iron and omega-3s, okay? Now let's talk about this major fad that's been going on called the ketogenic diet. Have you guys heard of that before? Have you been considering it? Let me know. I know I have a couple of friends who are on the ketogenic diet. They have some great things to say, which I'm very happy about, but it's not all perfect, and so we'll chat about that a little bit as well. So interestingly enough, though, the ketogenic diet, it's kind of been around for a long time. It's typically been used to treat epilepsy and seizure disorders that don't respond to the average medication. So basically, when nothing else works on children or even adults, then doctors have used a very high-fat diet so the body burns fat instead of carbs, and that's extremely effective for epilepsy or seizure disorders that have been resistant to common treatment. So basically, the keto diet is a diet that's high in fat and low in carbs and moderate to low in protein, okay? So at least your diet tends to be about 70 to 80% fat, 10 to 20% protein, and like 5 to 10% carbs. For some people, no carbs at all, okay? So the interesting thing, though, was in the 50s, 60s, there was a doctor named Dr. Ansel Keys. Have you guys heard of him before, Dr. Ansel Keys? He was a scientist, and he concluded that fat was evil through some research that he supposedly did, and he said that it caused obesity and that it had more calories than carbs, and that is what he concluded led to heart disease, okay? So that was, spread throughout basically the entire world, especially here in America, but pretty much everywhere, that fat is evil because of Dr. Ansel Keys' research. But unfortunately, the research, it only showed a correlation, not cause and effect. So he saw an increase in fat, he saw an increase in heart disease, and he said, oh, fat must cause heart disease, the end. Also, the assumption was it was made based on pretty weak data, and then they concluded that fat was the enemy. And there were also scientists related to him at Harvard they were unfortunately funded by the sugar industry to write a report in the New England Journal of Medicine that, said sugar is great or sugar's fine and that fat is bad. And then the guy who was the author of that paper was paid by the sugar industry, and he ended up being the guy who ran our first dietary guidelines, okay? What we know as the USDA food pyramid. And that basically told us to eat less fat and eat more carbs. So for any of you guys who were around when the food pyramid was out, I remember it quite well. It was like 6 to 11 servings of bread down here. You remember seeing like the bread, pastas, rice, all that stuff, right, is down here. And then it went all the way up and had meat and seafood and all that stuff. And then up at the very tippity top was fats and oils, okay? So the idea was that that was the healthy way to eat. Unfortunately, because of that, hi Annette, thanks for joining us, is because of that whole lovely research, we have now been to a situation where we have a lot of obesity, especially in our American population, and a lot of type 2 diabetes, because the whole world, we took on this dietary advice. And sadly, that is what we are finding more and more through more studies, what really led to our current crisis of obesity. Because the carbs were thought to be helpful and fat was thought to be super harmful. And now we have a lot of people who are obese and diabetic. Interestingly though, we've now had nutritional research that's much more sophisticated now, much more data than before, and with many more studies, we've now found that fat is not the enemy, okay? And so the US government, they even, based on advice of experts and the Dietary Guidelines Committee, they concluded that the evidence for this original recommendation of stay away from fat, eat more carbs, all pitched by Dr. Keyes in the beginning, that evidence, it wasn't there, and the evidence that fat was harmful wasn't there, and that we actually needed to change our guidelines. So for those of you who are a little bit behind on this, which a lot of us are, I don't blame you for it, because again, the information is super confusing. The new guidelines actually have no upper limit on the total fat in your diet. None at all. There's no limit on how much fat you can eat in the newest guidelines. And they also say to reduce refined carbs, sugars, and reduce refined carbs, okay? So in addition to that, they also eliminated any restrictions on dietary cholesterol because they found that it wasn't linked to heart disease. There was a correlation at some point in studies, but much more recent studies with a whole lot of other people have shown that there is no cause and effect. In fact, 70% of people who have heart attacks are found to have normal cholesterol levels, but that's for another conversation. And then on top of that, the cholesterol in food doesn't really correlate to the cholesterol levels in your blood. So that's a whole another conversation. So all of our past advice, though, it's basically haunting us, and there's still even many low-fat products. You'll see low-fat, no-fat, blah, 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 all over the shelves in the grocery stores, and we pick them up and we assume that we're doing ourselves a favor. There's low-fat yogurt, and sadly, even low-fat yogurt, that has more sugar in an ounce than a can of soda. So the whole thing just, it was messed up, basically, okay? So the food pyramid, unfortunately, it led to this crisis in our society, in our economy, because of the burden of obesity, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, prediabetes, etc., okay? So we have these new and improved guidelines, which is an improvement. There's this thing called MyPlate. Have you guys seen the MyPlate recommendations? Which does help. It says that, it talks about protein, but it doesn't really talk about carbs or fat. It talks about fruit and grains and dairy. It doesn't really say exactly what kind of vegetables. So people might think that you can eat potatoes or you should be eating white flour, any kind of protein, and that's not really going to be helpful either. So we're getting there, but we're definitely not there. So Anywho, all of that to say that the low carb idea behind the keto diet is definitely of benefit, because when you eat carbs, what happens is you have a major spike, usually, of insulin. Insulin helps to get rid of the sugar out of your blood. However, at the same time, it helps you to store fat. So rather than doing that, if you were to eat more fat, your body has a choice of either burning carbs for metabolism or sugar for metabolism, or fat. Those are the two options through the lovely physiology that the good Lord blessed us with. So if you burn carbs, you have to spike your insulin, and your insulin causes you to store fat. That's the process that insulin goes through. However, if you burn fat, you just burn the fat into what's called ketones, which are found actually to be a majorly great source of fuel if at a good level. So with all that being said, the keto diet, it does have some significant benefits for sure. The pitfalls to that though, here we go. Let me just roll through a couple questions before I lose them. Denise says, wait, what I get confused about is the macro. Okay, so good point. Let me see if we can chat about that a little bit. Dr. Uchenna says, vegan baby for fibromyalgia. Started April 1st, still trucking, cheating off and on, but for the most I have stuck to it. Great. So again, it sounds like vegan for you, Dr. Uchenna, has done some major, has caused some major strides for you, and that's awesome, awesome news. Ruth says you really have to read labels, and like you said, you have to do your research before changing your eating habits. That is so, so true. So when it comes to the keto diet, the major pitfalls there, in all honesty, is that the studies still not out there in all reality when it comes to long-term effects. It's really tough to say if the keto diet is sustainable for the remainder of your life, to continue on the keto diet every day until you're 100 years old. Because again, if all you're eating is fat, and you're burning fat, and you're not producing much insulin, so you don't store any of that fat, you could start to actually lose too much weight. That can happen. So for example, there are type 1 diabetics, which means that your pancreas doesn't produce any insulin. It's petered out. Your body attacks those cells, so it doesn't produce any insulin. Believe it or not, very opposite to type 2 diabetics. If you are not producing enough insulin, those people we've seen in studies can eat like 10,000 calories, 10,000 calories of food, and they still won't gain weight. 10,000 calories of food a day, and they still won't gain weight. And that's because their bodies aren't producing any insulin. In fact, they continue to lose it. So there may be potential issues with staying on the keto diet forever and ever and ever, but only time and studies will tell. So here's the thing that basically I say, and again, if I'm not your doctor, even if I am your doctor, you should know that you had the time to talk to me about your own personal situation. But for anyone, when it comes to your diet, it needs to be a personal decision. The same diet that worked for Jill might not work for Joe, may work for Rebecca, but might not work for Mary, okay? And that is because, again, we all have very different genetics. We might have a very different body makeup. We have different conditions that we're dealing with, different environments, etc., etc., etc. And so that's why it's important to develop a personalized plan for your diet. However, even more important than that, it comes down to the quality of your food and not just the category of your food. For example, there might be a lot of people who are on the keto diet and they're losing great weight. However, I have seen with some people, they hit a wall. And that's because, number one, you need to take a more holistic and comprehensive approach. So diet and nutrition play a huge role in your weight loss, but there are other factors too, i.e., are you exercising at all? Are you revving up your metabolism by being active? For example, I tend to recommend to my patients an average of 10,000 steps a day. So it doesn't mean that you have to go running every morning. Get up and take bathroom breaks, walk to the, grocery store when you park a little further, go up the steps instead of using the elevators, things like that. Are you sleeping appropriately? Are you getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep? Believe it or not, that actually plays a huge role in your metabolism. Are you dealing with stress appropriately, or are you not? Because your cortisol, your stress hormone, also causes you to store more fat if you have an excess of it. So those are things worth approaching and being considerate of as well. But again, the quality of your food, because there are foods, especially in meat, that are injected with steroids and other hormones. And I'm sure you've heard of like people on steroids, they gain weight. So wouldn't you imagine that probably those same, you're eating those animals with the steroids that cause them to gain weight, and then you take that into your body? Is it quite possible that those steroids might have an effect on your body as you ingest them, and may cause some weight gain? So in our home, for example, we're rather strict on eating non-GMO foods. So those, if we do eat meat, they're grass-fed meat, high quality meat, no antibiotics, no hormones, no steroids, and that tends to play a major difference. So I don't want to belabor the point forever and ever, but we actually try our best to adhere to, we switch it around. It depends on how we feel, how we feel, not just in our heads, but like our bodies. There are some weeks that my husband and I will be vegetarian for a good amount of weeks, and then we'll go back to meat, but we're very conscious of the kind of meat that we eat. We try to stay very far away from any kind of refined carbs as much as we possibly can. Processed carbs, we don't really eat that or drink that much sugar, things like that. But again, it's very important that you have a personalized approach. So what questions do you have? I can go on for a while, but I want to see if I'm answering what you guys need here. Now, when it comes to macros, Denise, here's the thing. What that basically means is, you're counting calories based off of, are you eating enough protein? Are you eating enough carbs? Too little carbs, too much carbs, too much fat, too little fat, things like that. I see the benefit in that, but I also don't see the benefit in complicating your life. I don't really superbly agree on adhering to a diet where you have to pull out a calculator with every meal. And so personally, I don't recommend that my patients have to deal with macros and counting and all that stuff. We actually just, we approach them, again, from a very personalized, in a personalized way. We do a lot of calculations based off of their weight, etc., what they intend to lose, yada yada, and we provide them with a meal plan so that they don't have to make those calculations on a routine basis, because that is super not fun. So with regards to a good resource or guideline, check in with me, and we can work on getting you something. Let me tell you now that to start off with, because again, the road is super confusing, and I get that, and there's a lot of misconceptions and confusing information out there. I'd like to help with a quick resource. I have decided to start, I think I mentioned this on a Monday Live, a quick Monday Live, what's called the 7-Day Spring into Health series. And that's just a resource that we've been able to develop to help you along the way in this journey to figuring out what's the right kind of diet plan, nutrition regimen for you. Whether you go vegan or paleo or keto or whatever the case may be, hint, hint, I actually am what's called pegan. I try to be, and that's like a combination of paleo and vegan, but that's probably for another day's discussion. It's all super confusing out there, and I get that, and so that's why I'd like to offer you a free resource that helps to demystify some of the information, that across the board, no matter what diet you're on, these are guidelines that you should be following. So for 7 days together, we will take that journey every day, work on something different with regards to, you know, what's going to get you closer to losing the weight you need, to getting off the medications you want to get off of, to get your mood back, to get your groove back, whatever it is that you need. This 7-day series will help you get there, okay? So click on the link that I've got, join us, sign up. It's a free resource that'll help kickstart you on that journey. And again, for those of you who are licensed in the states of Georgia and Pennsylvania, I can act as your primary care physician, or at least do a consultation with you, no problem. And for those of you who are not in the states of PA and Georgia, it is still okay. I am able to act as your health coach if you are so interested, and wellness strategist, which means that unfortunately I cannot provide you a diagnosis or prescribe any medications, but I can help with consulting you in assistance to getting the right kind of nutrition plan with the help of my wonderful resource, my husband, who's also a healthcare specialist, a health specialist and strategist. So definitely first check out this resource. I'd love to help you along your journey as much as I can. But just to sum it all up, to recap, we talked about vegan diet, keto diet, majorly. What are the pitfalls? What are the benefits? We talked about some unfortunate, crazy stuff that had happened over the past 60 to 70 years with regards to the wrong research and how much it's hurt us, and why we're here now and what we need to do to change it. Vegan diet, vegetarian diet, clearly very helpful for a lot of people. However, it may not be the right thing for you, and we understand that. For me personally, I love meat, and I think if you eat it right and you eat the right kind of meat, you still can have a very sustainable life. And vegan and vegetarianism, it is a very healthy way to go, but it also might not be sustainable depending on how you do it. So you just have to be careful. So if you are vegetarian or vegan, the big things that I mentioned is check your B12 level. It's a major deficiency for most vegans and vegetarians, so you usually have to be on a supplement. Your iron count is important. Your omega-3 intake is important, okay? And not to replace your important calories with refined carbs and processed carbs. That's super important. So it has to be really mostly plant-based whole foods, and that is when you get the bang for your buck when you become a vegan or vegetarian, okay? Then we also talked about the keto diet, which is, we found that there have been great strides that people have made with weight loss, etc. with that as well, which is basically low carb, moderate to low protein, high fat. And believe it or not, you eat fat, you get thin. What? But that's actually what happens for a majority of people if you do it the right way. And so we found that there are a lot of benefits to that as well, but the studies are still iffy if it's a sustainable diet, you know, forever and ever and ever. So that's something that you definitely need to clue yourself into and talk with your doctor about, and make sure that someone's keeping track of things for you along the way. So was this information helpful for you guys? Let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are, comments, questions, suggestions, concerns. I'll try to hang out for a couple more minutes, but I do hope that it was helpful. Let me know. I'd really appreciate it. What other questions or things do you need to hear about to help you on your journey to become well, whole, energized, and loving life. So definitely click on my free resource, our 7-day Spring into Health series, and we will take a journey together every day to talk about something new to clue you in on what is healthy to eat, what you definitely need to avoid, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, keto, paleo, Atkins, DASH, Mediterranean, whatever in the world you decide to adhere to. How can we make sure that it's the healthiest way that you can eat? And if you're interested in working along with me and my team on developing a healthier strategy for you, then message me, or let me see if I can share the link to, feel free to check us out. We'd be happy to have you. First, I'm going to share the link for our direct primary care practice. We'd love to have you if you are in the Philadelphia area or surrounding suburbs. We have a great practice and we're opening next month. And we are actually also running an awesome special. So for those of you who are interested, check us out before May 1st, because by May 1st, if you join by May 1st, then we waive your lifetime enrollment fee of $100. So your enrollment is free, guys. So check us out, and hopefully you will join before May 1st and take advantage of that awesome savings. And so their link for that is below. And for those of you who are outside of the PA area and you would like to book a telemedicine appointment, we'd be happy to work with you on that as well. So I'll drop the link for that if you're interested in doing an appointment there. So what questions do you have though, guys? I'm about to get off, but I want to make sure that you feel that you've gotten the information that you need. So Ruth says, yes, awesome information. I make sure my pH balance is good as well because I'm a vegan. Yes, that's a very good point, Ruth. It's important for you to make sure of that. It tends to be the case that for some folks who are vegan, a lot of the foods can potentially be acidic versus alkaline, depending on kind of how you're leaning. And so that is important. I personally, again, I try not to make things complicated for my patients and clients. You don't necessarily have to monitor everything on a routine basis. If you're what's called biohacker, which some people are, which means that you love to, check this number, check that number all the time, keep track of it, then kudos to you, more power to you. Not everyone enjoys doing that, and so we try to simplify things as much as we possibly can along the way, so you're not checking numbers all the time. We check what you need to when you need to have it checked. So, but that's awesome that you're able to keep track of those things yourself. Any other questions, guys? Before I go, I'll try to hang on for another minute or so. But again, I do hope this was helpful. Please share it with your friends, your family, your loved ones, those who you think could benefit from this information, because y'all, the struggle is real. There's just a lot of misinformation out there. And I am trying my best, as well as doctors like me are trying our best to educate you, to have you informed, because your health is your wealth, and without your health, you really can't do much. And I know that your families want you here, your loved ones want you here, and you deserve to live a life that is full of vitality, that is full of good feelings, that is full of you being well, whole, energized, and loving life. So thank you again for tuning in. So grateful to have you all here. Definitely message me if you have other questions along the way. But check out our links. Again, if you're in the PA area, join us, please, before it's too late, because we cap at 600 patients, guys. That's it. We're not taking any more. The average family doc has about 2,500 to 3,000. But after 600, we're done, because we want to provide our patients the most personalized and comprehensive experience that they will ever get from their primary care doctor. So we'd be really excited to have you. Check us out. Join us before the May 1st date if you can, because you save a couple $100, especially if you're a family. So we want to be here for you. And if you're not in the area, you can still book with us through our telemedicine appointment depending on where you're located, we'll talk about what benefits we can have for you doing that. But thanks so much again. It's been a major pleasure and honor as usual to have you all tune in. And again, my name is Dr. Sumner. I'm your board certified family medicine physician. I am dedicated to helping you and your communities become well, whole, energized, and loving life. And why? Because you deserve it. Okay? You guys have a great night and take care.